Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Prowess Goes Live, where we bring all of our online business managers the latest and greatest on tips that you need to be an OBM, how to start becoming an OBM, or just people you need to know in the industry or out there that are going to help you on your journey. And that's exactly who I am thrilled to introduce to y'all today, especially it being the beginning of January, and sometimes you just need that extra, I'm not even going to say like kick in the pants because it's not that, but that extra confidence boost to like go do what it is that you know that you want to go do, but you haven't for whatever reason. And that's why I'm so excited for today. So going in with that, I want us all to get started with some question or with a question. What is a risk that you have taken? What is a risk that you have taken? Put it in the chat. What is a risk? And this could be a risk like, I got a new job, or it could be, I was at my favorite diner and I was deciding between the chocolate sundae and the creme brulee, and I'm so glad I picked the sundae. Don't care. I just want to hear, like, what is the latest risk, or what is a risk that you've taken lately? The biggest risk I've ever taken was moving to London. I moved to London when I was 25 and didn't know a soul, was working there, and it absolutely transformed my life in all the ways. And I am so grateful for it. So, love it. Grand Canyon zipline. Are you joking me? Never in my life will I be doing anything with that type of heights. Bravo. Not this girl. Quit job without having another job lined up. Michelle, corporate dropout. We got another one here. Not looking for a job while I start a business. Love it. Hey, keep it focused. Focused. Wonderful. Okay. So, shifting gears into let me pause for a second. For all of you newbies here, who am I? I'm Ashley Connell, CEO and founder of Prowess Project. What we do at Prowess Project is we help women pivot in their careers to become online business managers, which are a cross between a COO, you got all of the strategy, but you also implement as well. And so it's COO and VA. We saw this problem out there that, yes, there were all these women who would be perfect OBMs, but then we also saw all of these CEOs, these visionaries who had great potential for businesses, but their brains didn't think in the way that it needed to in order to build the business. And it's very hard to do both. So what we did is we married the two problems and they solve each other. And that's how we became a Prowess Project. And again, we are bringing you different experts every single week. And today we are bringing you Alyssa Gisoscia, who I am thrilled to introduce to all of you because she is the coach who not only brings psychology like background, but also is super results driven. And if y'all know anything about me, if there isn't a, hey, what are the action items and what can I expect by the end of this day? Like I can't function. So especially with something that can be so elusive, like confidence and taking risks and deciding to go and just jump in and become an OBM on your own or whatever that looks like. That's why I'm so excited to bring her to all of you. So without further ado, Alyssa, how are you?
Hi, I'm great, Ashley. Thanks. How are you?
Oh, girl, I've been so excited about this topic. But I gave a little tiny bit overview of who you are, but can you tell us in your own words really what your zone of genius is, what you do for people? And then we'll kind of go into the background of how you got there.
Yeah. So I really like to work with my clients on getting unstuck and really doing a values alignment because so like many of the people here, I left corporate to do my own thing because the life that I was living was not in alignment with who I am or what I wanted. So I love the title of this. And the story of that is that I would sit on my couch and smush my head between my couch cushions because I was so burnt out. I thought if I could just disappear, like to Narnia or whatever's back there, like maybe I would be okay. And so for me, really helping my clients do that values alignment so they feel like the things that they are putting their time and effort towards are really bringing them joy. And we're not doing this burnt out, overwhelmed thing that many of us grew up thinking was the only way.
Oh my gosh, ain't that the truth? So it is fascinating. The majority of the OBMs who come to us, when we ask why,
Mhm.
it is exactly what you just described. If they're going to work so hard at something, they want it to be for themselves, but to feel fulfilled
Yeah.
and have that values alignment. Work for companies that they want to see succeed, work in different industries that they care about. So I love that you take that values approach. Before we get into that though, tell
Mhm.
us how you got here. Like what was your journey?
Yeah, sure. So, I was looking at the comments too, and they resonated with me because I quit my job without having a job, which I ended up turning into a job at the same company. But don't advise people to do that. So it's definitely a risk. But I was in operations and client success in tech for many years, and I was very good at it. And on paper and financially, I had a lot of success. But personally, I was very overwhelmed. I was exhausted. I hit kind of a major health crisis, and so I just went into work and I said, I can't do this job anymore. And they knew that I was certified as a coach. So they allowed me to bring coaching in, which was really cool. So I probably now would say, like, have the conversation, don't just quit. So I was somewhere in the middle. I kind of said, hey, I'm telling you this, I'm not quitting today, but so allowing me to do that pivot to coaching. So I coached at that same company full time and then went out on my own. But for me, it was really like I liked corporate and it made sense for me up until a certain point. And I think that was something I didn't know how to do in the past, was like, where am I out of alignment here? Why do I feel so tired? Where am I not where? Like I didn't even know the questions to ask. So my goal with my clients is like, let's talk about that now so you don't end up where I was.
Oh my gosh, you took the question right out of my head. That's what I was going to ask because I think, and you nailed it from the beginning, we are so used to being tired. We are
Yeah.
so used to being burnt out that it almost is like, well, this is just reality. Isn't this just being a woman in 2025? Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
And that's what I thought.
Right. So,
Mhm.
what are some telltale signs that you should be looking at to realize that you are out of alignment in whatever it is you're doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And to your point, like for me, it took conversations with two trusted people in my life that happened within 48 hours of each other saying to me, you've been saying these things for a while now, and the stuff that you're describing doesn't seem like you need to do something. So I went to the doctor. I found a holistic doctor who like understood women's health and hormones and all of that and got things set up. But I didn't even know my own self well enough because it creeps up on you for so long that others in my life had to say to me, hey, something's going on here. So for me now in hindsight, like exhaustion, not being able to sleep, but also waking up so tired I could barely function, taking couch breaks between meetings, and also for those of us who are high performing, if you're high performing and you're starting to feel like I don't care, it's almost like out of alignment with who you are as a person. So that for me was a clue as well to go like, why am I feeling like I don't like this? I don't want to do this anymore because I'm good at it. So it was really all of these things kind of not working all at the same time. And then the external folks in my life being like, wait a minute, let's stop here. And as I talk to other women, I've seen there's at least three people in my direct circle who have hit these health crises that have been the thing that slows them down, or somebody who has said, you have to stop, not realizing it ourselves. It's like that frog in the pot boiling
Yes.
analogy. Just keeps getting a
Yes.
little warm, and at first you're like, it's cozy. And then for me as well, it looked really good on paper. Like I was making six figures. I was super happy from like a financial perspective. And then I went, oh my gosh, okay, well, the money's there, but like I'm like crushed as a human, and finding that balance.
Yeah, wow. What you said that really spoke to me, and I think will speak to all of the OBMs who are listening, is that high functioning part.
Mhm.
I think a lot of us, that's why we're probably all drawn to each other. We're very output, output, output. We like to achieve. That brings us confidence, that brings us pride.
Yeah.
And when all of a sudden you don't care, it's it's devastating because you don't even know who you are anymore. Because you're like,
That's
well,
yes. Yeah.
wait, what? Uh, and
Mhm.
I hear this all the time. And so let's say that you're listening to this and you know that you have some of those
Mhm.
signs. What would be your next step, knowing how hard it is to take action?
Yeah, well, that's a great question also, because taking action at that point feels so exhausting. Feels so exhausting. So first thing is like a values assessment and an energy assessment. So it's looking at where do I actually want to be versus where I am now, and what am I putting my energy into? Because a lot of times we're putting our energy into many things that are not really what we want to be doing. A lot of my ladies especially, but many of my clients, male and female, it's the people pleasing. It's what would my boss think if I take 2 weeks off? What would my parents say if I quit this job? What would whoever say or do? Like, it's very much about the external, and we're not looking internally. So it's really like, where am I putting my time and effort and energy? Is it serving the values that I've created? Where can I take things off my plate? Where do I need to say no? And sometimes we're very scared of that, because we think like, well, if I say no, my boss is going to think that I don't care about my job. Well, if you can't do your job, then it's irrelevant. And sometimes it's like I've said yes to so many things because I don't want to worry. I'm so worried about everybody else. Like, what do I need to do? So a lot of times with clients, we start with values and energy and just see where things are going so we can gain some of that time back. The other thing too is, yeah, we are not like, I always think of Ghostbusters when I use this analogy, but you're at the bottom of the stairs and it's just that winding staircase, and you look up and you're like, normally we would take the elevator, right? But now we have to climb 100 floors of stairs. You right now, what's the one step in front of you? So we can, especially those of us high achievers, me included, I want to know what's going on at the top. How do I get to the top? And the top is all I care about. But all you really need to worry about is the one step in front of you. And so if we can pull it way back to like, what do I need to do today? What's the one next thing? That really trims down the overwhelm as well.
I really, really like that. And as you're talking, I said this a couple years ago when I was just kind of out of alignment completely. Like I didn't even know what my preferences were anymore.
Yeah.
Like I did. Ask me my favorite food, like, I didn't know.
The
It
thing
didn't
that comes
matter,
to me the
whatever's
fastest.
easiest.
That's my
Yeah,
favorite food, right? Whatever has the
yeah,
least amount of energy required.
right, right. And so, and the reason why I ask that is, how do you start by figuring out what your values are when you're feeling so overwhelmed that you're still trying to even figure out preferences? How do you get these little like hints of what your values could be, or how do you start that journey?
Yeah, I kind of look at different areas of life like, okay, in my career, what do I actually want in my career? And especially for the women who have done these transitions, right? Like when you were 20, it's very different than 30, it's different than 40. My energy has changed. My life has changed. What's going on with my children or my family has changed. What's going on with my parents has changed. So, first, like looking at, okay, my health, my family, my finances, looking at the buckets that are like the most important in your life and saying, what do I actually want even in that bucket? Because if more time with your family is what you want and you just took a promotion that took you from 40 hours a week to 60 hours a week, you're not in alignment. So first, just get clear, like what is going on in my life right now that I like, and then what is going on that I don't really like. But if the health bucket, like, am I working out the way I want to? Am I taking care of my sleep? Those things. First, it's just kind of seeing if I could wave a magic wand, and I'm not worried about like other people or any of the stuff that your brain's going to start pushing into it. Like, what would I just like? and then what's working here that is feeding into that, and then what's not. And then we start kind of chipping away at the things that are not and realigning. And for some people, that may just mean some quick adjustments at the job that they have, and it's fine. For others, it might mean, no, it's time to leave here, and maybe not leave corporate, maybe just a different values-based model or something that you like better, whatever. Or sometimes it's time for me to now work on my own. And what does that look like? So it's really, again, one step at a time. And also, not doing it alone, doing it with a trusted person or a coach or a mentor or a therapist who can just help you kind of suss it out, because our brain will immediately go, well, it's great that you don't want to work 60 hours, but there's no way we can make that happen. Wait a minute, there surely is. First, we just even have to define if that's what we want to do.
Oh, Alyssa, there's so many things I want to break apart here. It's so good. First, I want to thank you for what you said at the beginning of just giving people permission at different parts of their lives to want different things. Yeah. I think we start off at 20 and maybe we want to be this executive, or we want to be whatever it is, or and then you look up at 40 and you're like, if I get on one more plane, or I don't give a flying, you know what, how many airlines points I have, this is not it.
I know. That happened to me. I worked up the ladder. I was getting promotions in an organization that didn't even do promotions, because I was like, what's next? What's next? And then I was right under the C-suite person, and I was like, I would never want their job. What do I do now? And then I also realized, I don't even really love this industry, because I'm doing something, for me, doing something that literally would not matter 2 days from now. I'm like, it was it was tech related, and I liked the company because it was a great culture, and it also was helpful for people. But for me, I was like, at the end of the day, if this didn't exist tomorrow, we'd probably all be okay. It's not brain surgery. There's a lot of stress around something that's not really very important. I don't really like that. But, at 20, it was so that boss babe mentality so much. And I crushed it. And then in my 40s, I was like, I'm tired. I don't like this. So now I'm like, what does this stage of life look like for me? And I've been able to kind of realign it. But you can get stuck in the golden handcuff situation. You can get stuck in if you're a single parent and you're taking care of the kids, I have to have a certain income coming in. So how do we make those things happen without breaking down our livelihood, but with also breaking down our health?
Bingo. And I want to share too that in our program, OBM University, our training program, we do a roadmap session where it's really breaking down a lot of these different things. And I share that because I want everyone who is listening here to know that you're not alone. This is something that everyone should be evaluating. Over and over and over again. And I'm just so glad, Alyssa, that you are this resource for people, because we find so many uncovered gems as we talk through what that roadmap could look like based on your values now.
Yeah. And, this is probably, you're not supposed to say this as a coach, but I hate the, where do you see yourself in 5 years question? 2 years ago, if you would have asked me where you see yourself a year from now, no, not where I thought I was going to be. And it's helpful to map things out, right? Obviously half of coaching is creating a vision and working towards it, but we're also continually reassessing, is this vision still what we want? And I don't know 5 years from now, if you want to write a book and you're thinking, okay, 5 years from now, I want XYZ, great. But if you're not sure, let's dial it down. What would the next 3 months look like to you if it was awesome? Because it might not be the time that you're living in. If you're if this is what's still going on in 3 months, I'm going to be really unhappy. So great, let's shrink it. We don't always have to use these huge time frames. It's okay to look at just a month from now, 3 months from now, and say at the end of 3 months, at the end of this quarter, if you were this has been awesome, what would have happened? And give yourself a little permission to dream a little bit. For me, when I've been in major survival mode, dreaming has just been nowhere on my mind. So finding moments to also allow for that and have some vision and have some fun, which we can also forget about, is really nice.
Oh, I love that you said that. So I am not a meditator. I can't, my brain just, for whatever reason. Yeah. For whatever reason, it's just not for me. But what I can do is do that dreaming that you were just saying.
Mhm.
So instead of meditating, what I think that means, I just sit in a dream state and completely visualize what I want my life to be. And it's very relaxing, and it's
Mhm.
fun.
It's
It's
fun. Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Like it really is. And it has changed so much of
Mhm.
my trajectory. And I
Yeah.
realize that I'm, like, to your point, building out that roadmap of what it looks like because I've already visualized it, and then I can take it.
Right.
Now, granted,
That's huge. And then you're talking to people about things like I made a shift in my business at the end of last year, and I was talking to another coach, and he was like, I didn't even know you wanted to do that. Let me connect you with somebody. So just having those
ooh,
moments where you're talking, you're like, I don't know if I can do this, but you're talking about it. It opens up different things to you. And again, that's why having that community of people who are supporting you and helping you is so important. But if you're not dreaming, then you can't even get there because there's no there to even look at. And I think too, like for me, for an online business, like there's things about running a business online that you're supposed to do. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that because it doesn't align with my values. And so once I found for me what works, now all of a sudden these little things happen where I'm like, oh, that person actually does it a little bit different. Let me ask them a question, or this is going on over there. So there's something to that as well, of just when we start focusing on where we're going, we can then like, oh, there's a little roadmap. There's another person to talk to. And so it just opens up our mind because we do confirmation bias. So our brain is looking now for solutions to the new fun problem, if you will, versus ruminating on the things that aren't working.
oh man, I really like that. The specific thing that you said is talking to other people about it, because you cannot do this in a vacuum. Like, if
No.
this is not something that you can just sort out yourself, like this really is something.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, so speaking of, we talked about like the visualization and the play and all of that that happens in your mind, but let's also acknowledge all of the head trash. And, like,
Yep.
all of that nonsense that it gets in your head that's telling you, like, you can't do it, you can't do it. Like, who are you to think that you're going to be the person when all
Yes.
these other people are still in corporate? How do you start to handle that, chip that away? Is it possible? Like, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts?
Well, it is, and I love that you said chipping away because it's not like that's just going to change overnight. The
Right.
first thing really is noticing it and understanding like what's actually going on. I use it is true all the time, right? Because I'm saying like, well, I could never send that email to that person. Well, why not? Is that even true? Yeah, of course you can send the email. Well, but they might be busy. Well, that's none of your business. You send the email. That's your business. Their response is their business, and it may be a response you're really happy about, and you may not hear from them. Either one is fine, but it's really talking through because we'll put these constraints on things and it's like, oh, it doesn't, not necessarily. And that's where, like in coaching, that's where having commitments comes into play and being like, okay, what are we doing? We're going to send that email regardless of what happens. But a lot of times stopping and going, why do I think that? What am I afraid of in this? Well, if I send
Mhm.
it and they're too busy, then they don't respond. Well, that's the same thing that's going to happen if you don't send it at all. And on the flip side, they could respond. So let's go ahead and send it. But our brain puts very high levels of fear on things that are super low barrier to entry. Like sending an email, like literally is nothing to you. And we'll also be like, well, what if they say something mean back? No one's going to do that, right? Like the worst they're going to say is like, thanks for reaching out. I'm too busy to handle this. But that's the worst. Like you're going to be fine, right? Most of it's not life or death, but we really get sort of high anxiety about what will happen. And so reframing it into the actual context, like I joke that like a lot of times I feel that if we would just communicate or ask the question or get clarity and not fill in the blanks for ourselves, which we really do, like no romantic comedy would ever exist because it's all about lack of clarity, right? Like you could just ask the question and then you'll know and it's fine, but we don't like to do that. We like to fill it in and we will almost certainly always, myself included, fill it in with worst case scenario. Like, no, just get clarity.
Yeah,
But
why do we think that is? Because
I,
you're right, that's such a good example on the email. Like,
Mhm.
if someone doesn't, why does our brain put so much
Yeah.
fear and emphasis on such a silly
It's protective measure. Also, some of us have had experiences where we've done the thing and had the negative response. But also, we never know what was going on with the other person or what was going on at the time, or something that I maybe did in my 20s where I'm like, I probably could have handled that better. I wouldn't do in my 30s or in my 40s. Like, it's just different. So, but we tend to have experiences and then we will latch onto it and go, that is not safe. And then our brain is just like, we got to keep you safe. But there's some discomfort. And also there's the clarification of like, it's uncomfortable to send this email. Like, I usually feel like kind of right here, my coach will say something to me like, well, why don't you just ask them? And I'm like, ooh. So I feel that discomfort and I'm like, okay, that tells me I'm going in the right direction because it's uncomfortable, but I know it's not unsafe. So there's that balance of between that tension. And then there's just the things that you really don't want to do. And it's okay to admit those too. It's okay to say like, no, I really don't want to do that. Great. Let's find a different way to help you get where you want to get then.
Oh, I mean, first of all, yes to that. If it's not like in alignment, we'll find a different way. But you said something that I really liked. It can feel uncomfortable, but it's not unsafe. Is that?
Yes, correct. Yes. So like, let's say I have written a book and there's another coach who I think very highly of, and I would like them to do the forward for the book. So it could be scary to me and be like, oh my gosh, I don't like, oh, I have to ask them. And they might say yes, they might say no, I don't know. And like, I really revere them. And what if they don't want to do it? So that sending that email to ask is going to be uncomfortable, but nothing is going to happen to me if that person says no. And I'll find a backup. Or they could say yes. And I'm like, my favorite coach is going to do the forward of my book. So it's not unsafe, right? It's not like, I like to do bouldering. Because I like the physical and mental combination of it. So the first time I did rope climbing, my partner was like, you have to let go. And I was like, you have to let go. Like, you must be out of your mind, but you have to trust the feel of the ropes. Like, it will catch you. You're not going to fall. But like the anxiety and stress that I felt doing that was so high. And then now that I've done it multiple times, I can do the ropes and I go, okay, I know if I fall, I'm caught. So, but in a sense, that is unsafe because you're 10 or 15 or 20 feet up, whatever. Now the ropes make it safe, but your mind is still thinking if you fall, you're going to fall. So, it's just retraining yourself, like uncomfortable. Yes. Difficult, out of my normal sort of zone of what I would do. Sure. But not unsafe. Like nothing's going to happen to me.
I like that too. And then I think what is also really exciting about the result of doing something that may feel uncomfortable, but it's not unsafe, is how you feel afterwards, the accomplishment.
Yes, it's hugely confidence building. And that's why for coaching, we do commitments with like that very specific. So did you do it? Yes or no? And like, yes, great, you did it. Now you can ask the next person and it's safe. So you also build muscle memory and confirmation bias around like, of course they're going to say yes because everybody else says yes. And again, it's not always going to happen, but it takes away some of the stress around it. And it's very confidence building to build, to hit all those landmarks and move yourself forward. And our high achievers too, we also forget our progress. So let's say I want to pay off $10,000 by the end of February, right? Okay, in a month, I'm going to pay off $10,000. I got this. Well, if at the end of the month I've done it, awesome. That is totally worth celebrating. But if at the end of the month I've gotten halfway, that's still worth celebrating because probably without the goal and without the mark that I was working towards, I wouldn't have even hit that. And if I did half in a month, then I can be sure that then the next month I can do the half. So it also just builds momentum and confidence. And if I could do that, well, then why can't I do this? So you get a little bit of a snowball effect there, which is nice. And we need that.
We do need that. And that's such a good point. I can be so black and white with goals. Did I hit it? Did I not?
Same. Yeah.
And I was like, because as you were telling that, I'm like, okay, well, 10,000, do or die. Like, I don't know what's going to happen if you don't get the 10,000, but clearly the world is going to fall apart. But no, you're right. Yeah. 5,000 would be a huge progress, a huge jump.
A huge win.
Yeah. A huge win.
The win.
And you're right. We don't stop and smell the roses and really think about that ever. Or I'm guilty. I don't.
I struggle with it even still. And so because I'm constantly reminding my clients of it, I've gotten better at it, but it's not my natural state. My natural state is, am I at the end mark that I set? And that's it. That's the only thing that matters.
Well, and then there's the whole, like, you get to the end mark and you don't even celebrate the end mark. You just create another end mark.
That's right. What's
And
next?
yeah, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? I mean, man,
Yeah.
we should do a whole sequel just about high achievers, but
There's also plenty to talk about in that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, plenty. Oh gosh, I love it.
You're so
So,
good.
well, first of all, I want to pause. If anyone has any specific questions, please put them into the chat. I have a ton. This may feel like, Ashley's therapy session, but sorry, y'all, I got a lot of questions here.
Bring the questions. Somebody else is going to have the same question, I guarantee it.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah.
I would love to hear an example of someone that you coach. Like, where was she when he or she, when she came to you? What was she feeling? What was her scenario? And then working with you, what did she accomplish for herself?
Oh yeah, I love that. One of my clients mid last year, she was ready to rage quit, right? Some things at work didn't go well I don't want to say didn't go well. It didn't go the way that she had planned. And when things are out of our control and we like to be in control and we're high achievers, we don't like that. I don't like that.
Mm-mm.
No one likes that,
Mm-mm.
right? But most things are out of our control. So it's like getting comfortable with that. But so there was a variety of conversations. They were like, okay, you could quit tomorrow, but like, let's take a step back and say, if you don't, what do you actually want in your job? What do we like? What do we not like? We looked at, what are you doing that you enjoy? What are you not doing? What requests can you make? Are there things you can delegate? Is there a different position that would be better for you? Sometimes we even have to show up to work like, okay, this is just my Starbucks right now. I go in, I do my job, I leave. Because for the high achievers, not doing more than kind of like what we were hired to do is really difficult. But sometimes you need to pull it way back and just give yourself a minute. I also tend to do a lot of grief work with clients because especially in our country, we look at grief as being related to death only, but not getting a promotion you thought you were going to get, not getting a raise you thought you were going to get. When things don't work out and we have unmet expectations, there is often grief around it. And so also addressing the things that are actually hurting about the situation and not being like, well, it's fine, I just didn't get the promotion. It's probably not fine. Like, we'll smush it down, but really there's feelings about it. So I like to do some of that work with clients as well. And so now this particular client, she's feeling more confident. She's adjusted some things at work, and we can still have conversations around, is this still the right place for you? But before we go through all of that, let's address just like the emotions and the feelings about what's going on currently. Because like I said earlier, it's not always, I hate it here, I gotta go. Sometimes it's just minor tweaks and we think it's much more dramatic than it is. Sometimes it's a mindset shift, right? Like, what is this job doing for you that you like? Other times it's, okay, I need to take advantage of the health leave that I can take at this job, or I'm going to use some PTO that I haven't been using. And just like, let's get some space. Let's just pause for a second. So different things like that can be really helpful.
Oh, I love that you gave permission for that. And I may borrow your Starbucks analogy, because that is it. Sometimes your job just needs to be Starbucks, and then other times it won't be.
That's right.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic. Okay, couple questions. Yeah. Angela, how do you get prospects/clients to focus on their alignment and invest their money or time where it will best support their goals? Ooh, that's a great question.
So this is where just having goals is like really important, because if I say my goal is saving and then I go to the mall and spend $500 at Nordstrom, then wait a minute. So that's when you're asking yourself, what's my lighthouse here? It's just, okay, my goal is to save. So have I hit my mark for that before I'm doing other things? So having a very clear vision that you then use to pull everything back to is crucial. Like, do you want to do X? Does it support your vision? Do you want to say yes to Y? Does it support your vision? If it doesn't, it's okay to say no or wait. Or at least you're talking through something and saying, okay, it doesn't necessarily support my vision, but this is a once in a lifetime thing, so I am going to do it. But it's really slowing down, taking some of the emotions out of it and looking at it through the lens of where am I trying to go? And does this either help or hinder me in getting there?
I really like that. The what did you call it? The not North Star, but you called it
Oh, the lighthouse.
The lighthouse. I love that. Oh, that's perfect. All right, another question. How can we define unsafe so that we take appropriate risks? I work in a field where lives are often on the line, but losing a job can feel nearly as unsafe. How can I view unsafe like you described?
That's interesting. Oh, what a good question. I like that, because not everyone works in a job where lives are on the line. So like that is a very different kind of context. But I think like unsafe for most people is quitting a job without having another one lined up. The safe version would be looking for a job, understanding what's out there, revamping your resume, like doing the steps to say, okay, because a lot of people will just be like, well, I could never leave this job.
Yeah.
Or a lot of us, I have a lot of clients who like to do this. Well, if I just wait it out. Okay, well, we've been waiting it out for 3 months. What has changed? We've been waiting it out for 6 months. What has changed? So there's permission to say like, well, if I get a new job, it's a new environment and I won't know the people and I won't know the things. That is risky, sure. And you could take the new job and be there 2 months and be like, I hate it. Now I'm going to look for something else. But that's also okay too. So a lot of times we have very like hard line constraints around why we can or can't do something. And it's like, no, things are more fluid than that. So pushing against that, I think, is helpful. And again, too, like, well, again, if I just wait it out, if I just wait, it's going to get better. It's going to get better. A lot of times we think that and it never does, but we're more afraid of the unknown than we are of the bad known. Like, it might be worse. We don't know, but is this where we want to stay just in case it's not better? We don't have to stay. We have, well, I don't know. I can't say for everybody, probably not if you're 20, but like in your 40s, you have the mindset, once you're there, you got to work there 20 years, right? Like that's kind of how we were brought up, was more of that, our parents' generation, which you work your job for 40 years and then you leave. And now people change all over the place. If you don't like it, don't, do the next thing.
Without a doubt. So I want to shift gears slightly. A lot of the online business managers who go through our program and who are in our community, they want to work with businesses like yourself, who are clearly doing amazing work, really changing lives, and care about the person as a whole. So if you looked at your business right now and you were looking at some challenges or gaps or opportunities that you haven't quite hit yet, what would some of those be that you could share with OBMs to help them understand the solutions that people like you are trying to solve?
Oh, good question. So I can say for myself and a few of the other coaches and entrepreneurs that I either work with or colleagues or know, it's usually the marketing stuff. Like I do not want to be posting on social 3 times a day or even 3 times a week. Can I? Yes. Do I want it to be my focus? No. I don't want to worry about writing the posts or doing the graphics. And you'll see my social media go through phases of like 3 months straight of posting and then 3 months of silence, because I'm like, I'm done now.
Yeah.
So for me, that's it. And then on top of just the actual physical doing of it, right? Like writing the text, doing the imagery, setting up the posts, there's a strategy behind it. What? I don't know. I don't care. I just want to coach people. I don't want to do this. So for me, like that's one of the biggest ones. And I know a lot of my coaching colleagues, it's the business. Like I don't want to run a business. It's a part of it. So I have to. I just want to coach. So those are the pieces where it's like, who's doing that stuff? Who's figuring out that tech stack and all that? And when I started too, I had so many things in my tech stack and now I have like 4. Because what am I doing? I don't want these things. I just need what is going to help me serve my clients the best. That's all I care about. So yeah, for me, that's the big one. And I can say from many conversations that a lot of people are falling that bucket where it's just like, can someone else do this, please? I'm over it.
Yeah. I mean, that is exactly the problem that our OBMs solve is you you went out on your own, started this business because you love to coach. You're clearly so good at it. I mean, it oozes out of you. And like, why are you spending your time working on Hootsuite? Like, no, that's silly. Like, go change lives. But I know that it's a necessary evil. So
Right.
yes,
Yeah,
I,
for sure. Like,
yes.
what's an email campaign? Get out of here. I don't know. You know, I mean, I know, but I don't want to do it.
Yeah. And it's so funny because then we have like the ops minds on our own team, Leah and Natalie, who are like, ooh, give me that email campaign,
Yeah.
and give me that funnel. And what if we did? And and their brain is just going, yeah,
Yeah,
Natalie,
and
yes,
they
please.
love it.
Yes.
I had to really give myself permission to say, I don't want to do those things. So how do I, as a business owner, get them done if I'm not going to do them? Because I see other people in my life who are like, give me that. I love it. Like, they love it. And I'm like, you take all, I want nothing to do with that. But then I have other people who are like, networking, public speaking, coaching, like, oh, I would never. Great. That's why we all have different brains and we all have different areas of expertise. And so it's, that, again, crucial to find your teammates to do that, because I don't want to do it. I don't like it. But I also had to give like I said, I had to give myself permission, because for a while I was like, this is just a part of being uncomfortable and like learning new things. And I had to really differentiate between, this is not just uncomfortable for me. I actually don't like it. It's exhausting me and it's taking me away from having the mental space to do what I need to do.
Oh man, so good. So good. Okay, well, I told you, like, hey, this will be, I don't know, 30-ish minutes. Like, at most, we're nearly at the 45 mark.
Yeah, we're good.
Alyssa, where can everyone find you? Where, like, though you say you don't post on social, I am going to give you a follow.
Yes, I am there.
Want to like, soak up all your content. So,
yeah, the majority of my coaching content is on LinkedIn, and it's just
perfect.
You can find me under Alyssa Gisoscia, and I have a coaching page, but I post most of my content on my personal page. I am on Instagram, but again, because of what I just said, it's lighter. So LinkedIn is the best place. You can find my website as well as just alyssajoscia.com. So yes, I am there. And yeah, DM me on LinkedIn. Always happy to say hi.
Yes. And personally, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would have just focused on one platform.
Mm-hmm.
I think like we tried to do all the platforms at once, and
oh, there it is.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Natalie. Wonderful. Yep. So y'all go check out all Alyssa's stuff on LinkedIn. Clearly I got so many takeaways from this. It's insane. But also wanted to remind all of you that this is the type of stuff that we are talking about next week in our free masterclass, where really you're going to understand what being an online business manager is and how you make the types of impact that Alyssa is describing, and working with people just like Alyssa to help them run the business so they can go out and be in their zone of genius while you're in yours. So thank you for putting the link into chat. And then we're also going to put all the links to all of Alyssa's stuff and ours in the show notes. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Alyssa, so much. It was wonderful. And we will see everyone back next week.
Thanks for the great questions too.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Great questions. All right, y'all. Until next time.
Bye.